Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where the Where's Shmee tour continues. We are here in Germany with the STO and the Ferrari GTC4Lusso, the topic of today's video as we visit Novitec. Now I've stopped by Novitec to film some exceptional cars in the past, but today we're going to be adding a little bit more noise to this. Now both of the cars are absolutely filthy. The weather, as you can see, is rather gloomy this morning, and the cars from the Autobahn miles we have been driving are picking up quite some grime. In fact, there are some winds blowing over, I think from the Sahara, bringing a lot of sand with them at the moment, and yeah, that is the result. Now this car is a completely stock V12 Lusso, which means you have some rather intrusive exhaust flaps. Now on my previous Lusso, I installed a Novitec Switchtronic, which gave me the ability to control that. Today, we're here at Novitec to fit a Switchtronic to the new car, and then later on, we've got a little blast up the Autobahn. Hopefully, it will be clearer and drier to let that V12 sing. Now different cars serve different purposes, and the two Shmee-mobiles here are a perfect example. The Lusso might have a 690 horsepower naturally aspirated V12, but it's actually quite a comfortable, sporty Grand Tourer, whereas the STO is loud and shouty and brash and in your face, a track-focused supercar. So amongst the cars in the garage, when it comes to the sound that they make, I tend to go for a complete mix. I have some cars that are totally stock, like the Senna and the 675 LT. I have some cars where I've changed the exhaust system, like the Ford GT, the M3, the Yaris, the GT Black, the SLS Black. Some cars where I've just installed a valve switch, for example on the GT8 and also on the GTR Roadster, where you can choose exactly what setting you go for. Some cars where we just open the valve because the stock exhaust is loud enough, case in point with the Huracan STO. But when you do that, there's no way to shut it up. It's always loud. So when you're idling at high speed on the motorway, it's pretty uncomfortable, which is why for a car that serves the purposes that this does, to occasionally just chill and cruise and go for a nice drive, you want to have that option. And that is exactly why we're here today at Novitec, and we'll have a quick look in the showroom later on as well. But fundamentally, this is a car with a monster of an engine. And talking the engine, let's just come through and open this very quickly. It's rather cold today, as you can imagine, with these weather conditions, but Ferrari make an absolute belter of a power plant with this. The 6.3 litre naturally aspirated V12 still looking quite clean and tidy in there, always magnificent to take a glance at, but the valves rather throttle it, and that's the thing that slightly detracts for me from the experience of driving it, and that is why we're going to get them opened up. Now when the Lusso was introduced, unlike the FF that had come before, they made it even more of a tourer, which means when you run at the cold start, it actually has the valves operational, and it doesn't sound like how a V12 Ferrari should. Let me play you the cold start from this morning. You get my point, it's just slightly muted, and you can choose whether you want to have that open if you've got an exhaust switch. And later on, you're going to see exactly the difference when this has been done in the workshops. We'll see some of that process as we get to drive it properly on the Autobahn. Hopefully. We'll have to see how that goes. But the Lusso is really a car of two characters. You have the double glazed windows, for example. It's super quiet inside. It's then, though, got that engine. Let me just start it quickly again here. That's in comfort. Just muted. Just at the lower revs, as you can hear, valve control. In sport, it gets a touch louder. But you have to get up through the revs before you really start to hear any of that, which is, it goes both ways, right? Sometimes what you want from it is for it to be a touch quieter. Sometimes, though, you want to have all of the noise and all of the fun, and that is why we'll get this system changed. So it's a very elegant, smart, classy car, just going to have a touch more sound out of it, whereas this, it's just loud all of the time, because it's a pink and yellow Lamborghini. Why not, hey? So let's get this pulled around then, work out exactly how this is going to go, and very shortly have a bit more noise from the Ferrari GTC4Lusso. So when it's slightly warmer, as you heard there, it does actually start with a more aggressive tone, but that's what it will always do once it's had the option to have the switch. I say that always do when the switch is open, of course. If the switch is not open, we won't get that, whereas this always has it. So this is going to come around towards the workshops. I've been here to visit Novitec many times before. Blue Potsy looks very nice, and there's something about a dirty supercar, isn't there? Something about the way they look. So you've got the storage rooms for all of the parts. Obviously the showroom we're just walking past. We're gonna head up and go see this into the workshop and what's gonna be happening next with it. Of course, with this, it's not going to get louder. At the top end, it will still make the stock sound, the normal sound. When you're above, let's say 4,500 RPM, that kind of level. Where it's going to change is at the idle sound. So more as you hear it now, in fact. In Sport right now, it's partially valved, but it will have the option, especially for the cold start, of the glorious noise that these cars can make from that cold start sound. This is the system itself then, the Switchtronic control box with the wiring that's going to obviously give us the option to change what the exhaust valve is doing. And then there are two different controllers that you can choose between. They'll be both installed or available. You have the remote control, which you can just pop in a cup holder or something. And then you also have the cigarette 12-volt socket switch, which will stay in the armrest in the case of mine, to allow it to be opened or set back to default behavior. Nice and easy, really. And this all will tuck away discreetly when it's fully installed. This is all happening very quickly, but to give you a summary of exactly the process here, the Novitec Switchtronic is something that's installed that doesn't modify the actual exhaust. It's still the stock exhaust back box as it was, just needs a little bit of access. So the rear bumper has to be repositioned. You can't see all that much underneath the car. There's basically one big flat floor under there, and everything gets installed tucked away behind the trim panels, so you can see the additional wiring loom that attaches on, which obviously helps communicate with the car. That goes beneath the trim panel. So a few things that will go back in, the tail lights for example, we can't be driving without those. Everything will be tidied back up and it will be good to go and test very shortly, so it doesn't take all that long to do. These are just really very, very dirty, not gonna lie. Everything has to be popped back together, and then when it is back together, we'll be able to hear how this sounds. But super simple, just like we did before, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll with the Switchtronic shortly. It's always kind of fun to see the aero that these cars have. So you've got some outlets here, some intakes just there, I presume, and obviously parts of the exhaust. But it is now time for it to touch down on the ground, I was about to say, but then look at this. Okay, and it's going to get a lot worse later, I'm sure. We've also thankfully got a lot of tread left on these tyres. The Lusso, because of the weight up front, has a tendency to wear the inside edges of the front tyres. They're set up quite aggressively to give it the sporty feel despite the size and weight. But yeah, down to the ground it goes, back to normal ride height, and all, I think, completed. It'll be ready for us to have a demo of it shortly when we got it outside. There we go. Right, sounds good on startup. So this is normal behavior. That's open. That's back to closed. And back to open. It just gets more of a grunt to it. The idle sound. Sounds good. Right, all fully back on and ready to go out. Back out it goes. The Lusso's such a cool car, very Marmite. You either love them or you hate them with the shooting brake style. But I've always thought that format of Ferrari just look awesome. I promised that we'd come and take a look here in the showroom, so welcome. There are some very nice cars, as always, here on display at Novitec. We have the Senna, which I did actually experience with them before with their race exhaust, sounded monumental. We have a Pista Spider. We have the 765 LT, which features a number of the carbon upgrade parts, and of course the wheels, so you can see lots of carbon fiber on the exterior. Spoiler currently sitting up. Next to that, something truly epic, the Ferrari 812 GTS, but in this case, the N-Largo. Extra wide, extra crazy, extra sound, totally epic. And then we have the Ferrari F8 Spider as well with the tuning package, so you can see the extra carbon around the S-duct at the front and on the splitter, and the bronze wheels as well, which look quite nice. In fact, probably see those slightly clearer with the light over on this side. It's a good look. Oh, and look, the mirrors as well, replaced with those Challenge race car style mirrors, which very much suit it and look the part. So as I said, some rather nice cars inside the showroom, and one very bright and in-your-face Lamborghini right outside. But always good to come and see what's about in here. We've managed to get all of our luggage back in here. I've been basically driving the STO for the trip so far. This, as I mentioned, the cigarette socket just plugs into there. That gives us part of the control of the exhaust valve, and the other part is through the little switch here, which we might as well unpackage. So let's just start this quickly in Sport. Start it up. So that's valved, that's quiet. Hit the button and it should open. It's actually so quiet in here with the glazing of the doors. Oh yes, that sounds notably better. Let me grab the seatbelt didgeridoo. I'll put that in the key slot for the moment. All right, so onwards from here into gear. Let us make our way towards the Autobahn in the Lusso to enjoy plenty of the sound from this STO in convoy. Out we head. Even cruising along like this at 55 kilometers an hour, with the exhaust valves opened, you can hear a little bit of it. It's not intrusive in the slightest, but obviously this is taking it very, very easy. If we then go into manual and start dropping down some gears, I'm going to join the Autobahn just here, in fact. Oh, you get so much more of that, let's say, natural sound out of it at the lower revs that you basically lose when it's exhaust valved. And it's a cleaner transition of sound. This is amazing. This sound is just glorious. And we're going to pull straight out onto de-restricted Autobahn. Probably need to get the engine a little bit more warmed up before we go completely full guns blazing. Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds so nice. This is, yeah. Window down in the tunnel. Oh yes. Okay, we'll warm up the engine a little bit more and then open it up and have some fun. We're in the Lusso then, on the Autobahn. Let's drop it down a gear or two. 4th gear. Yes, obviously this is a de-restricted section. Unfortunately, we do have a truck overtaking a truck, which is never the optimum way to have fun, but where safe to do so, one can accelerate and enjoy a little bit more of this. So this is a case of waiting for the right moment, being patient, This person shuffle over, thank you. Feel all of those near 700 horses. That sound is mega. It's about 250 kilometers an hour. What a thing. Now, having been driving the STO, getting in here, it's a completely different feel to the brake pedal. The brake pedal in this is much softer in the early stages, whereas the STO is super twitchy. Oh, those downshifts, I mean, this is where you can open up the taps, and this is exactly what we're going to do. And you've got the passenger display as well. Goodness me. But while we're having fun doing this, obviously on the other hand, if you're cruising in the UK at 70 miles an hour on the motorway, that's where you want it to just be chill and quiet and soft and, you know, not bothering you with the sound. Gosh. Long live engine sounds like this. Absolutely epic. What a noise. What a noise. Oh. Big smiles. We've had a bite to eat, but we're now back on the Autobahn. Car is warmed up again, and we've got the open de-restricted Autobahn. It does not get better than that sound on an open bit of road. Just absolutely glorious. Now, the STO is a little bit back behind at the moment, but it would be pretty epic as well to have a bit of a sound check if we can, I don't know, if they can catch us up at some point. The other thing we're going to do, by the way, is that we're heading towards the Motorworld in Munich. Now, I've not yet been to visit the new Motorworld. I've regularly visited some of the other Motorworlds around Germany, but always cool venues, so we're going to head over in that direction, have a quick nosy around. And I might just take it easy a notch and wait and see if the STO catches us at some point shortly. One of the things we've established here with the STO right in front of us is that the double glazing in this car means you barely hear another car around you, which is kind of a pro and a con. This is just mega, but on a dead straight, we might get them coming back past us. That would be cool. Oh no, we've got a speed limit right in front. Alas, not this time. Oh well, next time. We've got ourselves a little tunnel. I don't know, there's so much noise in the tunnel, and obviously we've got the boom of the STO, so I'm not sure how much of this you can even hear. Woo, what a symphony. Well, safe to say that sounded pretty good. We finally got a slightly more open stretch for all of about 5 seconds because there's another speed limit up ahead of us. I tell you what though, the STO on the road looks like proper race car. That downshift as well, through the double glazing, in fact. I'm hoping there's another one. What a phenomenal sound that makes. Obviously this does as well, but you don't hear all that much of it because the exhaust tips are way back behind us, and obviously we've got a whole load of stuff there as well. But yeah, that sounded really pretty good. And like I said, it just looks a bit silly. It looks like so many heavy aero-based modern cars. They all look a little bit crazy. And that is the absolute icing on the cake in terms of crazy. And the two together, what a trip to be doing. This is where we are then. I have actually been to this part of it. This is the Drivers and Business Club, kind of a really nice hangout area where they host some events and things over on this side. But we are heading to the main Motorworld, which is this entire area up on the right hand side here. I'm not entirely sure where we enter in, having not been here, but we will work this out as we go. Somewhere in this direction, and go see what's inside, because it's where all the dealers are and the storage boxes and just lots of interesting cars. I mean, there's a Morgan just here. Must be a car park area around somewhere we can go park up. Yeah, here we go, public parking. This way, working it out. Well, that's not a bad way to have arrived. Bugatti Chiron Supersport 300 plus. The livery to match that of the record holder car that did 300 plus, 304.77 miles an hour. Full carbon body, sadly victim to the unfortunate weather at the moment as well. Full carbon bodied into the service centre. Bugatti are based here. Wow, well that was a bit of a highlight. Definitely not complaining in the slightest about having seen one of those today. This place is huge, but most importantly, look at how many very awesome cars are around. That is a different 300 plus, 2 of the 30. Then we've got a Chiron, we've got a Veyron up at the ramps. There are 2 EB110s there, 2 side by side. So what's that? 3, 4, 5, 6 Bugattis in total, but wait, because there's more to come. If we come up past here, you've got lots of cars for service in different areas. You've got the Studio by BMW, demonstrating lots of M Performance parts and various different models tucked in and around, which is really quite cool to see. Obviously, this is the McLaren Workshop, where there is a McLaren Speedtail just there at the moment. Not the only Speedtail we're about to see as well. There might be another one as we continue further through. Some classic Mercs, lots of memorabilia things all around. You've got the storage rooms and boxes up towards the far end. Very nice, red with red roof actually, GT Roadster. I do quite like that more than I probably should anyway. We've got some more McLarens over this way, Senna GTR, Senna behind, Senna at the back over that side. Lots of different models of the 720s and the like as we come past McLaren Munich, who are now located here. We've got a few cafes and restaurants and things, but I want to show you through this window. Well, firstly, there's a 765 LT right behind this pillar. Sorry for blocking that from the view. We've got a 620R tucked in at the back. There is another Speedtail just over there, 600 LT Spider. If we keep coming through, we have another Bugatti Chiron just here. And in this little lineup behind the McLaren's undercover, we also have another Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse in this case. So that is a grand total of 8 Bugattis and 5 McLaren hypercars here at the Motorworld in Munich today. And that's just the start, because there's so much more beyond that, as you can see, including the massive truck here. So yes, not a bad place to stop by and visit, hey? Not complaining in the slightest. I had to come around because look at that Speedtail, pearlescent dark green. with the bronze accents and interior trim details, really nice. Next to it, look at this McLaren GT, heavily MSO'd. Look at that paint. You've got multiple different greens, the dark green over the upper surfaces, it fades to a lighter green, and then the lime green for the pinstripe details. That's the 620R we saw. And then a Lamborghini Reventon, a Reventon Coupe, one of the 20 coupes, 15 roadsters of the Reventon. That's just completely random on a foreign gold car pad. I didn't expect to see that at all, it's just chilling here. But yeah, they were all in this dark satin grey paint, the first of Lamborghini's few-off hypercars. So that has been quite literally 8 Bugattis, 5 McLaren Ultimate Series, and a Reventon, which is a total of 14 hypercars during the one little visit here to the Motorworld. Sometimes being spontaneous is absolutely for the best. This was an unplanned visit to the Motorworld, but what a crazy place to stop by with that many insane cars inside. We're also surrounded here by quite a few of the McLarens in for service, and unexpectedly, the sun came out. That was not forecast today in the slightest, but we've had a pretty amazing drive with the two of these, two naturally aspirated, phenomenal engines to be completely honest, the V10 and the V12, 22 cylinders doing their finest, and it's been very enjoyable as a result. Of course, with the STO, it's full noise, it's crazy, that's what it's about, and it sounded so good on the flyby. But with the Lusso, if you're wondering why not just have it open all of the time, sometimes I daily drive this car, go home late at night, don't want to disturb the neighbours, and it gives you the freedom of choice by installing a Switchtronic, and Novitec do actually make one, I think, for the STO, certainly other Lamborghini models and lots of Ferrari models, amongst others. But by doing that, it means that if I go home at 2 in the morning, I'm not going to have full V12 noise waking up the neighbours, which is obviously beneficial. But on the other hand, if I want the exhaust valves opened for a full cold start, which we will have in the near future, it's going to be epic, and that is certainly the plan. So a big thanks to the team at Novitec for squeezing that in on our adventures on the Where's Shmee tour today, to get the Novitec Switchtronic installed to the car and to have a look around at some of the cars that they had there as well. But I think that's it for now. We'll be continuing the tour with some pretty crazy stuff, so stay tuned, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!